Hello, and thank you for listening to the Testing the Spirits podcast. In this episode, we're going to be covering Michael Tait and the Newsboys. That whole scandal has really blown up, and it just got 1,000 times worse. Now, I do need to warn you, if you have kids in the car or in the room, you might want to listen to this later on. If you have gone through abuse in the past, you might find this disturbing, okay? So, fair warning. Normally, I would not cover a story like this. I really don't want to talk about this. I find it infuriating. I find it disgusting. I don't want to talk about it, but there is several things I think we can learn from this. And it's really just the fact that churches have thrown away the hymns and they've brought in this modern CCM music when the CCM industry, more and more evidence is coming out that the industry is totally corrupt. Are there a few good people writing good Christian music these days, contemporary? Sure. Obviously, we're not saying that every single person who's, written new music is bad. We're not saying that, but this is all normal. The Michael Tait scandal up until, a few days ago, it was, he was doing drugs and he was a homosexual, and that was known. It was called an open secret by insiders, but, they kept it quiet because, if that got out, that'd be bad for business, and you got to keep the cash flowing, right? But now that it has gone, that leaked and it blew up, and the reason why they're really coming under the microscope is because they're being accused of abuse. If it wasn't for the abuse thing, maybe we would have never heard about it, because apparently this other behavior in the CCM world, it's normal, it's no big deal. I mean, that's what I'm getting from this. So let's read the article. It says a woman who toured with a Grammy-nominated Christian band, quote-unquote Christian band Newsboys in 2014 has alleged a crew member raped her while former lead singer Michael Tait watched from inside the hotel room. And this story was broke by the Roy's report, Julie Roy's, who, I don't always agree with Julie Roy's, to be sure, but she has put out a couple important stories, so I'll say that. But the woman, identified under the pseudonym Nicole, told the outlet that she believes she was drugged by Michael Tait during a night out at a Fargo hotel bar. Now, a lot of people would say, wait a minute, if they're a Christian band, what are they doing out at a bar? Of course, people in the CCM world, a lot of contemporary Christians would just call you a Pharisee for thinking that way, but let's continue. So they're out at the bar while on tour with the band and the ministry Pulse, led by Nick Hall, and the woman alleged that she later blacked out. So Michael Tait allegedly drugged her, she later blacked out, and was sexually assaulted by the Newsboys lighting technician, Matt Brewer, in a third-floor hotel room. Video footage, and here's the thing, there is video footage corroborating her report, and Brewer seems to admit that this all happened, but it was consensual, so that makes it okay. This is sick. It's sick. And, especially if you're a man out there and you have daughters, I mean, whatever the punishment is for these people, it can't be strict enough. It can't be hard enough. I'll just say that. Now, there's a lot more I'd like to say, but video footage cited in the report and reviewed by Fargo police reportedly showed Michael Tait entering and leaving that hotel room multiple times in the early hours of December 16th, 2014. At one point, surveillance shows Michael Tait laughing. Apparently, he thought it was so funny. It says the video shows him laughing and physically touching the guy, Brewer. And Michael Tait, video again, showing him entering, going in and out of the room behind this woman and her abuser. The woman later stumbled back to her own room and collapsed in the hallway, according to video footage. Nicole, who was 23 at the time and worked for Pulse Ministries, told the Roy's report that she remembers feeling, and of course she's been drugged, right, allegedly, And I just say that for legal reasons, because sometimes people do file lawsuits for people just talking about it. But the Roy's report alleges she felt 1,000 pounds, like 1,000 pounds on top of her body, and she heard both Michael Tait and Brewer's voices during the assault. And I'm not even going to read the next part, because she remembers parts of it and what they did to her and what they made her do to them. And I'm like I said, I'm not interested in covering this story, really. I don't want to read all of it. I find it disgusting. I find it infuriating. And then it says that Brewer denied the allegation, stating through an attorney that the whole encounter was consensual. So I guess it's no big deal. And this is the whole problem with the CCM scene. Okay, so Tate doing cocaine, and the whole band and the crew, they're going out to the bar, right? I'm not going to say the whole band. I don't know if every single person, okay? But the point is, this behavior, if they're at the bar in public drinking, okay, this was being done out in the open. People knew about it. So they're drinking, they're getting drunk. Okay, Tate, there's accusations of, I think he admitted to cocaine use and fornication and adultery and all this stuff. And they acknowledged, well, yes, it did happen, but there was no assault. So basically, this is the only reason why we're hearing about it, because there are allegations of assault. So now it's blowing up. But if there wasn't any assault, well, this lifestyle, well, it's just normal. It's just normal. So maybe you've heard of rock and roll band. Maybe you've never heard this, and if not, God bless you. But if you spend any time in the world, or you've probably heard about some of the debauchery coming out of the hard rock, the secular music, the rock and roll scene, bands like Led Zeppelin or AC/DC or Guns N' Roses or Metallica, and things that would happen at the hotel room or on tour, on the bus. And here's the thing, you know that the world glorifies that type of behavior. I remember hearing about one guitarist, okay, and this guy, there's just a documentary put out a few days ago just glorifying this guy. And they admit that, yeah, he was with an underage girl and he locked her in the hotel room so no one would find out. And it's obviously all illegal activity. And the world glorifies this. But the Christian contemporary music scene, well, hey, guess what? It's going on there too. And people knew about it. But again, it only gets out there because of the assault charges. So why bring this up? Just to expose the fact that it's happening. We've known people have if you are just paying attention, if you're just reading the stories, and obviously assault is a step beyond all of this, okay, I acknowledge that, but Amy Grant hosting a lesbian wedding at her ranch, right? Switchfoot and Jars of Clay and one band after another. I remember preaching against the Newsboys like 9-10 years ago. I forget who it was. One member went apostate, but there's always some band, some member, they're out there doing this, doing that. People know, no one cares. And they're committing fornication, adultery, deconstruction, LGB support, marching in these parades. And this is just, the whole point is this is normal. This is normal. It's common in that whole scene, in that world. And why that matters to me, and the reason why I want to do this video, is because I have seen the church change. Okay, churches are changing all over the nation, all over the world. And the traditional worship service, okay, where the Word of God is preached, and there are hymns being sung to the glory of God, all that is being tossed out for the seeker-friendly, rock and roll megachurch style, which the small churches are trying to copy them. But they get rid of the hymns, they bring in Newsboys songs, they get rid of the hymns, they bring in, Michael Tait, they bring in Jars of Clay, they bring in all this music, which I don't know the statistics. I'm not going to say, well, it's 95% of the music is written by heretics or by false converts or by deconstruction. I don't know if it's 85% or 95%, but what I'm saying is that whole scene, this story is shining a massive spotlight on that whole scene. And are there a few good people in it? Sure. Are there some good songs being written today? New songs, contemporary songs that are glorifying God? Sure. But by and large, this industry, this whole scene is corrupt. And here's what I want. Here's my prayer, my hope, that churches, pastors, deacons, elders, church leadership would wake up. They would see this. They would acknowledge it. And they would say, hey, 2 years ago when we made the decision to go contemporary, we see the fruit of this movement. It's rotten. We're going to go back to a traditional worship service. We're going to go back to singing the hymns. We're not going to sing Newsboys songs anymore at our church. We're not going to sing Hillsong. Don't you remember that the leaders of Hillsong had, I'm not going to claim, it's at this level with Michael Tait. Michael Tait could go away for, to prison for decades. I don't know. But the guys from Hillsong, there was similar behavior going on. So what do churches do? Let's sing Hillsong music. Get rid of the hymns. Bring in Hillsong, Bethel, Elevation. Obviously, Bethel, they're heretical in their doctrine. And Elevation, just wait. Well, they haven't had these types of scandals. Just wait, okay? So my hope and my prayer is that churches, whether they went contemporary, 2 year, and you know who you are, and there's pastors watching this, and you know who you are, your church went contemporary. I want you, I want everyone to go back to the way things were, sing the music that has stood the test of time, where the author of the song is no longer with us. They can't go apostate, so you don't have to worry about it. But yes, go back to a traditional worship service. Go back to singing the hymns. And if you're going to sing new songs, don't ever sing Newsboys. Don't ever sing Bethel, Hillsong, Elevation. If a song is written by a heretic or a false convert or a deconstructionist, whatever it is, or someone like Michael Tait, don't ever sing their music ever again. But just recognize this is what this industry is all about, okay? It's a money-making scam. Basically, the musicians in Newsboys and these other bands, Switchfoot and all the rest, they can't hack it in secular. If they could be rock stars, they would be. But they can't hack it in the secular world. So they're like playing for the minor leagues. They get into CCM and they make this much money in CCM, but if they, crossed over like Amy Grant or Lauren Daigle, then they could make this much money, but they're not that talented, so they can only make this much, but they're living the same lifestyle as the secular artists. So if you can't see it by now, you don't want to see it. But it's my prayer that churches would reject the majority of this CCM garbage and go back to singing the music that has stood the test of time. Thanks for listening, and until next time, may the Lord be with you, and have a great day.